We at the Everything Red Deer podcast acknowledge that it is recorded on Treaty 6 and Treaty 7 land, as well as on a historic gathering place of the Métis. We thank the elders and knowledge keepers who remain with us today and those who've gone before us. This acknowledgement is small, but meant nonetheless as an act of reconciliation and gratitude.
Local, credible, now. You're listening to the Everything Red Deer podcast, powered by RD News Now. We talk to the movers, shakers, and newsmakers around Red Deer and Central Alberta, then bring those interviews to you. And now, here's your host, Josh Hall.
Welcome back to the Everything Red Deer podcast. I'm Josh Hall. You may have noticed this episode is dropping not on a Friday, as per usual. That's because this is a special episode in commemoration of the 20th anniversary of the shooting deaths of 4 RCMP constables in Mayerthorpe, Alberta on March 3rd, 2005. For those perhaps unfamiliar with the case, we'll get more into it in a few moments, but the shooter in this incident died by suicide the same day. We're going to jump right into our interview today, which is with Keith Myrol, the father of Brock Myrol, who was one of the 4 officers killed. Here's our conversation. Keith, thanks for taking some time for me today. And if it's all right with you, I want to start by going back a year ago when you and I met at Red Deer's Bower Place Shopping Center. This was right at the end of January, and a new statue was unveiled there to honor the memory of the 4 RCMP officers who were killed on March 3rd, 2005. Those 4 constables were Anthony Gordon, Leo Johnston, Peter Sheeman, and of course, your son, Brock Myrol. Bower Place has long had a statue, but the original had become worn, and a decision was made to replace it. The connection to Red Deer, of course, is that Brock, who was 29 at the time of the incident in Mayerthorpe, had previously worked as a loss prevention officer at the Bower Place Zellers and had spent a lot of time in Red Deer. So the statue, while it stands for those 4 and even for all officers killed in action, it does bear your son's likeness, Keith. And I wanted to ask you first off, what was that day and that unveiling like for you?
Well, it was special. I mean, it's special when someone does something like that for your son and for your family, if you will, and all of his friends. It was very touching. I guess that's a good way to put it. As you know, there was a lot of members of the RCMP there as well. I just want to bring to the attention of the other folks, just briefly too, though, that Anthony Gordon was also from Red Deer. He did not work in the Bower Place Shopping Center, but he was definitely, Red Deer was his hometown. It's an example, if you will, Josh, of what people have been doing in the memory of these 4 boys since then and all across Canada. For example, I know it's his hometown originally. Brock was born in Outlook, Saskatchewan, and the RCMP detachment there does an annual golf tournament in his name every year to keep his memory alive there. So there's things like that go on, but this was really good to see in our hometown, you know.
You have not let a day go by, I don't think, since March 3rd, 2005. That's the day it all happened. You haven't let a day go by where you haven't fought to keep the memory of these 4 young men alive. How difficult has that been, and what keeps you going?
Well, I guess your love for your son keeps you going, and knowing that, yes, we lost 4 boys that day, but we've lost a lot of law enforcement over the years, and every one of them deserve to be remembered. And Canadians need to, I guess, know and understand that, yes, they're Mounties, yes, they're policemen, yes, they're even soldiers, but first of all, they're people. They're connected and related to their families and their friends and the people at their workplace all across Canada, probably around the world. And we need to remember and respect what they've done and how they literally gave it all. They had no more to give. That was it.
What would your message be to other folks out there who have lost a loved one in the line of duty? And God knows there's too many people who have experienced that. And how do you think that message might translate to others who aren't related to somebody that works on the front line of law enforcement?
Well, when Brock graduated at his RCMP graduation, they basically said that this kind of thing had happened, and obviously it did. But they said to remember that you're now part of the greater family. And the RCMP have done, over the years, many things, of course, to support us in even if it's just in conversation. They're a wonderful group of people, and the citizens of Canada, I think, for the most part, know that, but they don't always think of that when they think of the police. That's what I would suggest. And for other families, we've reached out to other families since Doc's murder, and other police families who have lost members of their family. And that's what you do. You kind of form a union with other people and help support them, It doesn't go away. There's nothing that's going to go away in our lifetime. I mean, you're going to remember your son for the rest of your life, and you're going to miss him for the rest of your life. But you can certainly try and help other people get through what they're going through.
Now, a really nice thing that's being done is that pins are available at Bauer Place this weekend if you are over there in the food court where the statue is. So swing by Bauer Place if you'd like to get a pin. Another really interesting piece of this is back in 2006, about a year after the incident in Mayerthorpe, you and your daughter, Kalhani, is her name?
Kalhani, yeah.
Kalhani, released a song called Heroes. It's got yourself and Kalhani on vocals and a bunch of other folks on guitar, bass, drums, keyboards, and pipes. And there's a music video that came out, I think, 2015 on YouTube. It's really beautiful, and you can find it on YouTube by searching Heroes RCMP Mayerthorpe, a song by Keith Myrol. I'll just put that in the search bar. I'm also going to play it to close out this episode of the podcast in just a moment. And I guess my last question for you, Keith, is just, I guess it was 20 years ago or almost 20 years ago that you made this song, but was that a bit of a therapeutic process for you? Do you remember making the song?
Well, I'm a singer-songwriter, and I've done that forever, literally, for my whole life. And I knew that I would be someday writing a song about what had happened. And it just came to me. I was working in Calgary at the time, and I was driving home to Red Deer. And I wrote it kind of singing it over and over and over in the car until I got home, and I rushed in the house and wrote it down. And then we knew it was too close to the deadline almost to get it on for the anniversary, but with the support of all sorts of people that volunteered time, like there's a company that releases songs to radio. They did that for us to help us out for free. There's somebody did some of the graphics on the album cover, things like that. There was lots of people who helped us, and everything was very, very pro. Like the musicians were pro, and I just knew I had to do it. And I think it was to some degree therapeutic because we wanted to do something for Brock, and there's not much you can do for someone, But we played it prior to releasing it to radio for the Commissioner Zaccardelli at the time, our CMP head man, and he just loved it. So we had his blessing, and off we went to get it on the radio. And it's been well received across Canada and played. The first one was played March 3rd, 2006, and literally was played from coast to coast at approximately 10 o'clock Alberta time, just so that it was a national musical memorial. Mm-hmm. I'm hoping to try and do that again this year, although things have changed because a lot of those radio stations are now with different companies and whatever, so it's hard to make that happen. But we're trying. We're trying to get it to happen again. I wish I had more CDs, but we printed, I don't remember, thousands of them, and we sold them as a fundraiser. And Memorial Park in Mayerthorpe got a bunch of money. They were building a new museum for the RCMP in Regina. We gave them a bunch of money. And Brock was a black belt at Arashi Do here in Red Deer, and they had part of a team representing Canada. I think it was in Spain or Italy in the World Championship. So we helped fund their trip with some of those proceeds. So it was a really wonderful project to do, and I know Brock would have appreciated all three of those things. So.
All right. Well, we'll hear it here at the end of the podcast in just a second. I just want to say thank you for coming on and chatting with me today. It must take a lot of courage to continue speaking out on this, but it's important, and we appreciate you doing so. So thanks for the talk today, Keith.
No problem. Thanks for getting a hold of me, Josh.
Awesome. Well, we'll close out the podcast today, as mentioned, with Heroes by Keith and Kalhani Myrol in memories of Constables Brock Myrol, Anthony Gordon, Leo Johnston, and Peter Sheeman.
Heroes, right down to their core. Heroes, proud of the surge they wore. Tony, Peter, Leo, and Brock, young and strong and sure. Mounties all answered the call, they couldn't have given more. A winter's day, the 3rd of March, the year 2005. Our nation held its breath and prayed, dear God, keep them alive. For the madman's gone, the damage done, they marched through heaven's door. Our nation mourned the legend born, heroes forevermore. Heroes, right down to their core. Heroes, proud of the surge they wore. Tony, Peter, Leo, and Brock, young and strong and sure. Mounties all answered the call, they couldn't have given more. As evil died, the families cried, their good must carry on. 10,000 strong, a massive throng, in silence side by side. Marching proud, horses loud, their good will carry on. Every day, in every way, our heroes do live on. Our heroes do live on. Those four brave men come alive again every time the siren cries. They become a part of every police heart, carried proudly deep inside. Their dreams alive, their goals survive, the good will carry on. Every day, in every way, our heroes do live on. Heroes, right down to their core. Heroes, proud of the surge they wore. Tony, Peter, Leo, and Brock, young and strong and sure. Mounties all answered the call, they couldn't have given heroes, right down to their core. Heroes, proud of the surge they wore. Tony, Peter, Leo, and Brock, young and strong and sure. Mounties all answered the call, they couldn't have given more.
This has been the Everything Red Deer podcast, powered by RD News Now. This podcast is produced and edited by the team at RD News Now and Pattison Media Red Deer. Make sure to download our mobile app and subscribe to our free daily newsletter by visiting rdnewsnow.com. Thanks for listening.